something to hold on to. I can't help how I think about you. You've moved on like I'm about to. Cause you don't really mean that. Cause you don't really need my
Enter into a new dimension of gaming and unlock your gaming experience. Powerful and portable, with uncompromised graphics performance. The way you play will never be the same.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to Women's League, presented to you by Esports Season 4. We got some of the banger matchups lined up for tonight. Panda, welcome back to the stream. How you feeling so far, man?
I'm sorry, Cthulhu. I love you, man, but that is just not the right level of hype for this. It's Season 4, Week 4. We're coming into the thick of the competition. This is the middle stretch. This is what separates the good teams from the great teams. And boy, we've got a hell of a couple of matches tonight. So this is where we're going to start to see that front pack breakaway, start to see who the front runners are in the competition. And we've got two fairly talented teams sitting there at the moment, Elevate and Nocturnal, sitting top of the table. So this is where, those teams that are stuck kind of in the middle of the pack need to be getting points to catch up.
Definitely, yeah. The overall competition that is following up the two top teams is also quite ramping up as well. We've seen quite some close games. We already had one of the longest matchups so far in the season already happen. So quite a few things has already happened and more are yet to come. So Let's have a look, actually, quickly refresh our memories about the league teams and the format as well. So we got all those wonderful teams: Rens, Nocturnal, Grumpy Grapes, Beanix, Calypso, Nutty Gaming, Elevate, and 71st Recon on board for this season. And honestly, gotta say, so far, seeing how all of these teams played, definitely a huge improvement, even from the season 3 as well already.
Yeah, I mean, just week on, they are improving steadily throughout this competition. I mean, we saw a couple of teams who had some rather unfortunate opening weeks, and as the weeks have progressed, the results have been improving. It has become closer and closer each week. Unfortunately, not necessarily against the Elevate team, who for some reason are just playing on another level. The round differential for them, they're 21 rounds won and 1 round lost so far in the competition. They're on another. That's that super secret flavor of G Fuel that they're using at the moment. But in this competition, you can't be slacking, and none of these teams so far have been slacking. Yes, unfortunately, some of the teams haven't picked up those wins, but the performances they're bringing are just some top tier stuff.
Oh yeah, 100%, and it's the continuous adaptability by all of these teams is definitely a thing of beauty to witness. But let's also talk about the prize pool and all the incentive that is going to be brought on board for all these teams to really battle for, and that is going to be a total of 3,000 AUD, that is Australian dollary dues, to be put as courtesy of Ubisoft Australia. And the champions will be running away with $1,500, runners up with $1,000, and then third place with the $500. So quite a plentiful amount of money to really battle it out for.
Yeah, I mean, do you know how many mice that could replace? Like mine, because it's very broken. If you've been looking at my tweets in the last couple of weeks, I've just been complaining about it. But yeah, it's a decent chunk of change, and these girls do work very, very hard for it as well. And I mean, this isn't the only prize that comes along with Season 4. There's the clout that goes along with it. I mean, Elevate, they're back-to-back, potentially to back champions if they can take it out this season. But I mean, could you imagine dethroning the two-time champions and being crowned the new top team in the XP Women's League?
Yeah, that will be a huge thing to really achieve here, gotta say. And for Nocturnal, that's been quite a storyline to go for quite a while. But there's not only just the cloud and the prize pool, there's also the wonderful ZQ Racing MVP prize. That's right, the wonderful people at ZQ Racing have got on board for Season 4 as well, and will be awarding one lucky MVP with the wonderful chair. So let's have a look actually at our schedule and see what kind of absolutely saucy matches we are having tonight, because honestly, I'm quite excited for those. So we have 71st Recon battling it out against Calypso as the first streamed match. Our second streamed match is going to be Nutty Gaming versus Rens, which I genuinely think this will be one of the closest, if not the closest matchup we've seen in a while. And then off stream, Grumpy Grapes versus Elevate, and Nocturnal versus Beanix.
Yeah, I mean, there's some interesting results. I actually matched up against Mystique from 71st Recon in a casual earlier this week, and I did ask her, how are the girls feeling about this matchup against Calypso? They were a little concerned just because they personally believe Calypso is a stronger team at the moment. But honestly, they're just going to come in, they're going to play their game, and they're going to try and take away the win if they can. So I'm excited to see what they're bringing to the table. They were able to pick up their first win last week as well. So they're starting to build up that momentum. They're starting to get themselves on the scoreboard. They're tied with Calypso at the moment. Both teams are currently 1 and 2 in the competition. So, I mean, they're basically on an even playing field, which is going to be great for the girls in 71st Recon. Grumpy Grapes versus Elevate. That's an unfortunate matchup, I think, more for Grumpy Grapes. Elevate, so far, like I said, the round differential is 21 wins to 1 loss. They are going to be a hard team to beat for a team like Grumpy Grapes. But really, for any of these teams in the competition, even for Nocturnal, I think, at the moment, it is going to be an uphill battle for them to take some rounds off Elevate. And, well, you look at the scoreboard, you look at the standings as it is at the moment. 2 teams currently sitting on 3 wins. The single team, Rens, which is our second matchup of the night, sitting on 2. 4 teams sitting on 1. That's Grumpy Grapes, Nutty Gaming, Calypso, 71st Recon, and Beanix. They still have yet to find themselves a win here. And unfortunately, versing Nocturnal, again, it's another uphill battle for them to potentially pick up a win here tonight.
Oh yeah, 100%. Yeah, the Nocturnal battle is definitely going to be quite a rough one for quite quite a few teams, as a matter of fact, kind of in a similar approach. How it is going to be quite difficult for anyone who's going to be battling against Elevate. So definitely a few uphill battles, a few even play fields. So quite curious to see how both of, or as a matter of fact, how all four of these matchups are going to unravel. But let's actually have a look and take a deep dive at our match number one. That is going to be the 71st versus Calypso. Any kind of initial thoughts on that one?
I mean, both teams have some incredibly capable players. I mean, 71st week's gone. You're looking at Mystique. You're looking at the likes of Ticked Off as well. Yeah, here we go. We'll chuck them up on screen. Weasel, Zero Prince, Meeps. These are all players who I have either been absolutely demolished by or seen play at a very, very capable high level. So the potential is there. It's just how well things gel on the day, whether they can find that momentum, find that rhythm coming into this first matchup of the day and pick themselves up around on the board. That's exactly what you want. You want to start. Your first round is always the key. You pick up the first round, you can start snowball into the second and just build off the momentum there. So they're very capable, and unfortunately, the results haven't mirrored what they're capable of.
100%, yeah. This is definitely a roster that has been evolving very steadily overall, and definitely it's been very interesting to watch them evolve. But let's have a look actually at their opponents. That is going to be Calypso, the roster that has seen quite a fair bit of promise, but so far has had a bit of a rough road. It is Rappel, Fishnoodle, Bosch, Diana, and Time for Pie with Omnom as their sub player. So honestly, this is a very, very solid lineup as well. Overall, have great potential, but just seem to have had a bit of a bumpy road at the start, to just having some issues, some difficulties with just getting themselves up on that momentum, I suppose.
I mean, the expression that I think of that best describes Calypso at the moment is close but no cigar. They have had some very, very solid moments on the cusp of taking rounds away, but it's just these little things that at the end are just not working out in their favor. So they're a team who, honestly, by all rights, could be sitting at the top of the scoreboard with Nocturnal and Elevate. Probably not, considering that they have versed. I believe, they versed Elevate. They so far are the only team to take a round off of the Elevate's women's team, which is, I mean, a pretty solid indicator given how those matches have gone. But unfortunately, that is just not enough in a competition like this. Being close is great, but it's not the result you want. You want to be taking those wins away. Hell, even doing some damage in terms of the round differential is going to be a victory at the end of the day, especially a team like Elevate, the Elevate women's team, incredibly capable in their own, and one of those teams that you cannot give room to breathe, and unfortunately, that has been the situation. Whereas Calypso, they just slip up on these little things, and if they can fix those, I mean, there's still a number of weeks left in the competition. They have that opportunity to fix it up before we come to the tail end of the season, and if they can do that, 100% they can make top four.
Oh, we'll have to see just about that, especially within this matchup, given that this is going to be yet another chance for Calypso to score the point, get themselves up on that potential for the top four teams. Let's actually have a look at the maps as well that we are going to be playing, seeing as we are going to be seeing some slight deviation from the usual picks, and that is going to be Oregon to be brought on board for tonight's first matchup, which honestly, I mean, there's been quite a fair bit of discussion about Oregon in general. It's a solid made map overall, but in the current meta, in the way how currently most of the teams play it, it's a very stale format, so it does defer to more so just how little mistakes can you make before you crack, I suppose, under the pressure.
Yeah, I mean, this is going to be, the fourth appearance of Oregon so far this season. It has made an appearance at least once per week. So, I mean, it's not that teams aren't playing. It is obviously in the competitive pool, but unfortunately, it's one that is slowly falling out of favor. We've seen Calypso here before. They took the victory against Rennes on it in week number 2. Unfortunately, we haven't had the opportunity to see 71st Recon on it yet, so this is going to be a proving ground for them.
Yeah, definitely could be quite a banger one. I definitely think that 71st could definitely bring in quite the heat. We're just waiting on the ready from one of the teams, and we'll be on our merry way. But yeah, genuinely quite curious, because whilst we are just waiting for the teams to be ready. Quick also note as well is that blue side that is going to be the 71st is actually going to be starting on defense, so 71st gets some early advantage theoretically. But yeah, look, let's give a quick look at the Oregon before we get straight into the action. But honestly, quite excited for all this, and yeah, look, bands could be definitely getting maybe a little bit wild here, I reckon.
Yeah, look, I mean, we have seen a pretty consistent layer of bans. That's probably the right word, but a consistent wave of bans, I suppose, in terms of operators that are being taken away. I wouldn't be surprised if we are going to see that Thatcher prioritize maybe not necessarily a Maverick, someone potentially like the Nomad or the Jackal or even the Ace Hibana, if that's where the teams are going. But certainly a Thatcher, certainly someone like the Mira, someone like the Cade on the defense are going to be taken away.
Yeah, well, first one to be banned out is going to be Thatcher yet again. Nothing too particularly unusual, seeing as it's became a thing of norm to just bully the poor SAS operator. Second ban, yeah, I feel something like maybe Maverick, maybe an Ace ban to come across, seeing as he was used quite thoroughly. But instead, we are going to be seeing a Nomad ban, which also somewhat makes sense, especially on this map, seeing as the roam game is quite strong the moment you kind of, I suppose, allow it.
Yeah, I mean, you need to be shutting down those stair angles, and there we go. The opposite side of that docket, it's going to be Cade, the release pair of the Nomad, crazily enough. But I mean, with a map that you can achieve such a depth of roam, such significant flank play, it makes a lot of sense. And there we go, Mirror to round things out. Again, no surprises whatsoever. It does mean, though, that on the attack, Maverick will be let through. So they have an avenue, depending on how they look to execute, especially on the second floor. You can prioritize the Maverick around Attic. I don't quite think we'd see it prioritize, kitchen dining or kitchen meeting, anything like that. But there's still room for it to work. There you go. Diana going to be picking it up for this Calypso roster on the attack. Strangely enough, I think this is the first time in 2021 that I have seen Repel play and not be on Sledge.
That's actually quite a good point. Although I do think there was a phase back in last season, more so, where Repel was playing Ashe quite consistently as well. Maybe I'm wrong, but yeah, this is definitely quite a bit of a change, but maybe there was quite a substantial amount of homework being done here, because I actually want to get your opinion on the ban here, the mirror ban here. Given in the current meta and the way how Oregon is currently built, do you think that Mira is actually going to be more so of kind of a waste of a pick, seeing as she's countered relatively easily in most of the situations, bar the laundry and supply hold?
It's an interesting question, and I do talk to coaches, players, other casters, and analysts about this. It really comes down to just how confident you are in your attack setup. Because if you can't flush out a mirror, you can't deal with those windows. Yeah, you're going to have a nightmare time. It's going to be rough. It's going to be, you're just going to end up sweating, panicking, frustrated over the hole. Whereas, if you understand the positioning of the majority of them, if you're bringing someone like a Zed, like a Twitch, you can play around them. Yeah, sure, let it through. But it's also one of those situations where if you have a decent player who knows how to position behind those mirror windows, you are just in for a rough time.
Yeah, that's a very good point. I suppose maybe for 71st, they just didn't want to deal with that in any shape or form and just stick to their own play, I suppose. But for the time being, we do see quite an interesting, very off-site roam from Meeps and Tiktov, but yet no kind of engagement to really happen, as so far the rest of the positions are getting pushed quite thoroughly.
Yeah, they're going for that dual execute. Dorms is very, very similar to CCTV cache. You need to be executing on it from two different positions. You can't all force through the same direction. You're basically going to, risk either getting mowed down or hit with one of those nitro cells, depending on who brings it. You need to attack from multiple angles, and that's exactly what we're seeing. It's an attic push, it's a master bedroom push, so they're going to clear over from this eastern side, get control of trophy, open up those long angles, cut the bomb site in half, and then execute into games, go for the plant if they can, without hopefully losing anyone. and from there they can play the post plant position and pick the win up there if possible. But I mean, that's the ideal situation if you're Calypso here. That's how you want the round to play out. But as 71st Recon, they're going to have something to say about it. They're bringing a lot of tools to slow things down, a lot of tools that will be a disruptor in Calypso's attack. So it really does come down to how well they can drone out, how well they can read that defensive utility, and how well they can play around it.
Yeah, well, already quite a fair bit of time has gone by, and yet we are still yet to find any kind of engagement. And so far, Time for Pi is actually going for quite a aggressive push. Already a down with a grenade by Diana as well. That is already going to be a straightaway a push and a kill onto Weasel. Very well done, and straight off the bat, going to be a finisher onto the Bandit as well. So good beginning here already for Calypso, and it's all down to Mystique and Meeps, and well, Mystique is yet to go in for a peek. She's about to get droned out as well, and well, about to get pressured. Meeps needs to start already applying some pressure from behind as well if she wants to find any kind of success, because right now both of the players are very much disconnected.
Yeah, no potential for a refrag here. Plant is going down. You got one in bomb site, one below. Not a single player taken out so far for Calypso. It could be a flawless. There, Diana does go down. Not finished off just yet, so still potential for that flawless. Meeps not quite sure how to get in. Not a lot of health left, but enough that they could take a gunfight. Swinging in from Attic. It is going to be, unfortunately, all in the hands of Meeps. They can pick up Diana here, secure themselves that flawless. And yeah, Meeps just not quite sure what to do. It's going to be playing for frags here. Use the clock. Talk about what's going on. And I think one of the reasons that round played out the way it did is the Frost pick. It's not as conventional, especially when Wehrmeyer is left available. You want to be doubling down on that breach tunnel. If you can bring that, it gives you a chance to hold Attic, and you're not going to face the same situation. There we go. Diana does go down, so Meep's going to deny the flawless. She will be taken out herself, and it will be around going the way it flips to start things off. But yeah, the Frost didn't really do anything for him. I like to see them bring a Wehrmeyer in the next one. It will deny the potential for that frag grenade kill, which is what enabled the push through Attic and enabled them to get so much control, and there they can pick the round up for themselves.
I'll definitely have to agree with you on that one, although I do understand where they were coming from with the Frost pick as well, given the fact that it looked like they were banking on a very frontal push through the double window, through maybe the white stairs, maybe through the games as well, because they had quite some utility there, but Attic was the one that was lacking probably the most there, and unfortunately, well, for 71st, things didn't really work out. So instead, we are going to be actually going to, well, it won't be the laundry, they will be actually retrying the kids' dorms, and it's, yeah, well, still a pick of Frost here, and maybe a slight change in the traps positioning, I would say.
I think what we might see from the 71st girls here is you want to go for a more aggressive setup. So I don't think we'll see Meeps playing from below. It'll probably be around the big tower. Honestly, if I was 71st, I'd be sending someone up to T3, sitting up the very, very top, be a disruptor that way, try and catch anyone out if they're not paying attention, because, I mean, yeah, we've seen, especially through the OCR qualifiers which are going on at the moment, a lot of prioritization when Oregon is played up there, and it can be a huge disruptor for attackers. I mean, I saw a push yesterday where the one player in T3 found 3 players on that push, including the Maverick, including the secondary hard breach, and was able to shut down the attack that way. So I think we need to see a higher level of aggression from 71st Recon.
And they are quite capable of doing so as well. I mean, last few seasons did see them toy around with the idea of having a very aggressive play on a few sides, but it wasn't as consistent as they probably would have wanted, which I would assume was the result of a fair few of these losses, and now the decision to kind of play a little bit more passively. I'm liking some adaptations here with the Frost traps, although probably not the ideal solution to the issue at hand, but it's a solution nonetheless. I'm hoping to see a bit more aggressive play from Meeps and Zero Prince now that they have identified where usually the point of entry is for the attackers, so hopefully a few changes to the play will be made here. Looking at the attack so far, it's just about the same, very thorough cleanup around the site before even any attempt at the push is going to happen. But although we do have already an opening by Hibana, or rather, pardon, Ace. 2 A's still the same.
Yeah, close enough. It's all that
Close
really
enough,
matters.
yeah.
Both of them destroy things. One is a hard breach destroyer, one is a soft breach. Ticked. I believe that was a frag grenade from Diana yet again, but this time we'll survive. Nitro Cell Rip could be the key. Could be the defining factor in how this plays out in favor of 71st Recon. Ready, just waiting with that arm, and I mean, landed in the right spot. The damage could be devastating here. Diana on the drone downstairs, preoccupied, so we could see a very effective Nitro, but they're trying to play through the floor. Time to play does find Meeks, so that is unfortunately a frag off the board for the 71st Recon. This Vigil not quite working, so we might see some adaptations coming in later in these rounds. But Time for Pie spots the player as well. Zero prints found. So the dual roamers for 71st Recon have been cleaned up. Nitro Cell throw it. Oh, Time for Pie playing a very dangerous game.
Yeah, meanwhile, on the opposite side of the map, Bosch already finds the shot onto TikTok, so that is the bandit off the board as well. Another discovery of the Frost Mat, and another one to go down. Time for Pie is just decimating the opposition, and it's all down to Mystique once again, stuck in the very same position as she was last round, but this time, Time for Pie is not attempting to really waste any more time. It's a flawless round, 4K for the Zofia player of Calypso, and it looks like this might be a relatively quick game, seeing as Calypso looking quite well organized here.
Yeah, I mean, look, I've done a lot of thinking about this and trying to come up with terms that describe certain aspects of the game. So what we saw coming out of 71st Recon is what I like to call it's a tight roam. So you're playing in a position, two players looking to be able to refrag off each other should they need to, and just playing off of that duality, I suppose. And then you've got a loose roam. You're off by yourself. You might have another roamer, but they're not in position to play off of anything if your situation goes wrong. Unfortunately, the close roam there for 71st Recon, both players are spot out, both players were dealt with, both players were droned out throughout the entirety of that hold down on the first floor. And so, I mean, you've got a Vigil, you've got a Jaeger, be a bit more creative, play them in those off positions where your opponent isn't going to be expecting you to be, and you can capitalize that way. So I think 71st Recon, they need to be a bit bolder, they need to be a bit more audacious, they need to do something that their opponents aren't going to be expecting. Like, holding an angle with a shotgun where no one in their right mind would hold.
Yeah, that's a very good point. Yeah, definitely some sort of a unconventional, some very ballsy plays need to happen here, because otherwise we might be seeing a relatively quick run here. I am curious about this wooden pick, though, because while I understand the certain reasoning behind him and the fact that he has the 1.5 times scope on the MPX, I don't think I've seen a whole lot of flashbangs or smoke grenades for that matter, so utility-wise it doesn't make a whole lot of sense, but I'm assuming there's some other reasoning behind this.
I mean, hey, look, it's just nice to bring Ned Flanders every now and then. He loves to get out and get in amongst things. And I mean, look, he's not the worst operator. The gun's not the worst. He has that shield utility as well that you can bring. Meeps to go down, unfortunately, again to a frag grenade from Diana. Calypso, their attack is coordinated. They're playing their positions phenomenally. And this Vigil, it's not working.
Oh, no.
Why was that position too? Unfortunately, it was just read and counted so very, very well there by Calypso. It's what I wanted to see. Unfortunately, the K18, it's great, but it's not the greatest of guns at long range. It's spray down, not going to be there for Zero. Repel finds it on the Ash, just surviving with a quarter of her health left. This is, I think we need to see something. We need to see some serious deviation from 71st Recon. They're doing, standard cookie cutter plays. It's nothing crazy out there, and that's exactly what they need if they're going to pull a win out.
Yeah, well, talking about pulling a win out, so far, Time for Pie is just absolutely enjoying this playground, it seems, because so far it's just been an absolute banger of a match for her, already finding another double kill. That frag grenade nearly finds the recipient, but Weasel at the very least is able to make it so that it's not a flawless round. But look, Calypso are onto it. Yet again, another round ending in a very dominant manner. But once again, the Warden pick kind of worked there. Well, kind of was there, and theoretically made sense as a read against Ying, but he was nowhere near that, and like you said, same cookie cutter kind of approach to roamers getting droned out, getting fragged out, and kind of no punishment for Calypso to just keep on swinging even harder, it seems.
Yeah, I mean, the question now becomes, what do they need to pick up to give themselves that opportunity? Is it information? Do we see a Valkyrie pick coming out? And Meeps is going to go for a 6 pick. It's going to be a Legion instead. So, oh boy, Diana is going for the Tiltec 6 pick on it. I saw this last night. It did not work. We'll see how it plays out here. I'm interested. I'm curious. But yeah, I admire the Cap Can and the Legion being brought here. I'm not quite sure if that is the direction that 71st Recon needed to go, but I did say they need to do something a bit different.
Yeah, I mean, I'm kind of on board with that decision because, firstly, the Legion will at least somewhat slow it down.
That's because you're patriotic, Cthulhu. It's a Cap Can pick. You have to be happy about it.
Look, yeah, I'm always happy about a Cap Can pick. I'm a simple man. I see fellow Russian brethren, I like it. But in all seriousness, though, with the way how things been going down, for 71st, it does make sense to kind of dive back into a bit of trap meta, bring in the Cap Can and a Legion to slow things down, to force Calypso to actually be a bit more thorough with their utility clear and make sure that they don't run into those traps, because otherwise it would open a big enough kind of spot for the defense to actually engage in those gunfights and actually have some sort of a chance, because right now ultimately some of the 71st players are losing even at the stage of just sheer gunfight, which is quite unfortunate.
Yeah, well, we see they're droning out. This is the problem that we've seen. Yes, the trap setup is going to be good, but the efficiency of drones that Calypso has been bringing to the table, they're finding information. They've also got the Twitch. They lose one of the shock drones, but Diana's is still there, so they can keep scouting things out. Time for Pi just wins the heads-up gunfight anyway. Blitz will be there, Diana playing on the back shoulder. Time for Pi, unfortunately, will go down to the shots from Meeks. They get a key fragger off the board here from Calypso. But the question now becomes, just how much damage can this German shield operator do?
Yeah, this is definitely going to be a very interesting push to see if that will work out, because up first is Weasel, who is about to be pressured both from the stairs and from the pillars as well, and the first damage does come around. Weasel is not particularly feeling too well, and no. It's already a double down. This is not looking too good. Diana actually finding that double off the back of her teammates, and well, right now it's all down to Zero Prince and Mystique. Mystique is the first one to actually try to engage, tries to fall in. Impact grenades do come around, but instead, it's a complete collapse.
Yeah, someone clipped that and sent it to me. I've got someone who desperately needs to see it. But I mean, this is Calypso. They're playing their game, and we haven't seen them do it through the 3 weeks that we've seen so far. And it's good to see them. They're playing their own game. They're taking it at their own pace. Time for Pi is just going off. Like this is exactly what you want. This is like peak Zofia territory right now. If you're a Zofia main, you're like, yes, this is exactly what I want. Why aren't my games like this? Why does she get it but I don't? And that's because she is so good at this role that she can just find those opportunities, absolutely capitalize on them, and make the most of them, which Time for Pi has been doing to a T.
Yeah, to quote one very popular Disney series, this is the way.
Mm-hmm.
Pretty much. But anyways, we do actually see a last moment 6 pick onto Ying from Zofia, which is prime time bullying for Time for Pi to commit. And honestly, with the introduction of Ying and Finker, I can already see where this is going. And this is going to be a pretty fast execute on site, I'll have to say that.
Yeah.
All 5 people to rush in on site. Flashbangs not even an issue, with a Finker buff being able to completely dissipate the effects of a flashbang. Probably a bit of a shout out to Bikini Body for the recent video mentioning and kind of reviving this idea, so I suppose there's that to be mentioned as well. But look, I'm not too sure if 71st are prepared for this kind of level of cyberbullying.
Look, I'm going to refer to this one. This is the envelope strategy, Cthulhu, because what do you do with an envelope? You send it. You send it. That is exactly what we're about to see. This is, Calypso are about to mail themselves to Timbuktu, and as soon as that box is open, you're not going to be able to see much because the candela is going to be going off. Someone is going to have a nightmare time. Fish Noodle prepared, looking to get themselves in. I love Zafinka pick. I'm a big fan of her myself. I love seeing her brought out, the interesting strategies that will come out. And they're going for the small tower control. They're going to push straight in, get the verticality, deny whatever breach denial was there, which are minimal at best, considering it's just that mute that was available. from here they can start to pressure Weasel playing in showers as well. So this is a tooth and nail hold already coming out from 71st Recon. They're just trying to hold on for dear life, and just look at them. They're all stacked up. They're so ready to go. This is it. The send it play. The envelope is about to be mailed. Just burning the ADSs. They're about to throw. Oh, frag. Oh, no. Headshot. But Weasel will survive the frag grenade as well. Rotates back out. Gonna pull tight inside that dining room doorway. Time for Pi, unfortunately, not able to capitalize.
Not at all, but there is a gunfight just outside with a long angle, and Fish Noodle is actually able to finish off the Weasel. But so that we're back to a 4 versus 4, but that still does not actually rid Calypso of any ability to actually just full-on send it. But now Meeps is actually ready for the jump-in of Fish Noodle, and she very patiently awaiting. But the moment the execute on actual site is going to happen, I don't think there's going to be any time for a rotation. Already full control of the showers area, which will be seeing another opening, and well, there we go. There's the Candela charges going in. We'll be looking to see how will Time for Pi actually go in. Instead, just goes in for a sheer plant and just don't care. Poor Ticked Off is just absolutely lost as to what is happening, and well, by the time the realization comes around, the planter has been already put down.
I'm pretty sure Fish Noodle just ate the full Candela there as well, watching the window. Just said, go for it. You got this. We got the coverage. But now the scramble does come. Frag grenade going up white. Will it find much of anything? Doesn't look like it. There's a player following it up. Zero will find herself in the grave. It's Time for Pi and Bosch find Ticked Off and Meeps as well. It's all down to Mystique, and the hip fire comes out for Time for Pi. The Calypso girls, they're playing this one very well. I mean, imagine being taken out by your attacking counterpart, just hip fire mouse one going off.
And it's also a drop shot as well.
Yeah, you're meant to be teammates here in the Rainbow program, but nah, not today.
Oh man, yeah, this is at this point the realization that this is seeming to be a very dominant game from Calypso definitely is creeping in, seeing as, I mean, 5-0, possibly about to be a 6-0 as well. It's not looking too good for 71st. Maybe they will be able to, at the very least, make it 5-1, and that is going to be the best case scenario here, in hopes of maybe keeping them afloat here. But look, overall, this is definitely looking quite dire here, to say the very least.
Look, I mean, as much as we're having a bit of fun with this, I do have to question just how much of this is 71st Recon getting in their own heads. I mean, like I said, I talked to Meeps, not Meeps, I talked to Mystique earlier in the week and, asked her how the girls were feeling, and they did say they felt nervous. They felt like they were going to be outmatched, and potentially that is a contributing factor as to why they are finding themselves struggling this much, when in reality, if they'd come into it with a little bit of confidence, played their game, it probably would have been a much more even scorecard. So hopefully they can, start to figure things out going into the defensive half. Hopefully they can pick up around here. In the attacking half, pick up around here as well would be good for them. Time for Pi is also running the LMG. We have two of them on the board at the moment. Fish Noodle didn't decide to bring it, but yeah, the M249 SAW and the LMGE coming out here for Bosch and Time for Pi respectively.
We're quite excited to see how that will work out, seeing as LMGE, as much as it's being given flack, it's actually a really fun gun to use. Not as competitive as, say, M762, given that there's no angle grip or anything, but it's still a very solid gun. Interestingly enough, a much quicker approach to the master bedroom push, but with the drones just about to discover Weasel, it is now going to be a next question of what needs to be done, because Fish Noodle is about to bust open the window. Not the right one, though, and that is a... We're not going to speak about that.
Just a bit over eager, I think. Just keep go for the nade kill. Let's send it. Okay, almost. Meeps to go down. I mean, look, hey, there's nothing wrong with the LMGE. There is a player in North America who exclusively plays LMGE with a silencer on it, but Bosch does find that kill on the Meeps in the end, finishes off the maestro with the asphyxiating bolt. Time for Pi in, but cleaned up. Weasel and Mystique team up for 2. So they bring it back, give themselves the man count, and they could just about do this. 3-3 as Bosch holds down Mouse 1, goes for goal, but Weasel definitely ramping up here on this Oryx, going hard. I love the Jordanian in play. Zero, unfortunately, the feet were spotted. Dyna does shoot them out. 0 to go down to the M249. Weasel finds a triple in the round, and all of a sudden, it's a 1 versus 1. Bosch outside, Weasel inside. And I don't think they're quite sure where their counterpart is, but Weasel, this could be a big brain play.
Yeah. Interestingly enough, Bosch actually is going to flat out ignore that wall, and this is going to play right in hand for Weasel, as the position of the Jordanian operator is still left completely unknown. Bosch setting up a few of the flank setups, but instead we'll actually flat out ignore the game's position, and we'll just try to go in maybe for a plant, right by the bomb chassis. So for Weasel, that means she needs to start going in for the push. By that time, the plant will be gone down, but right now, Bosch is in a very interesting position, and will not be able to actually contest that gunfight. A quad kill for Weasel to finally break that 5-round streak.
5-1, so at least they don't go down completely in the half. They do find it. Look, it wasn't a Rema dash knockdown into the kill, so it's not quite there for the style points, but it's a win nonetheless. And I mean, look, a 4K like that, nothing to sneeze at, just winning the gunfights with the T5. It's one of my favorite guns in the defense, so I love being able to bring it on someone who can run through a wall as well. That just makes my day. And the way that we saw Weasel use it, perfection. That's exactly what you want to be doing, hitting the shots. Like the fact that you were able to take a heads-up gunfight against a player with a gun that had a box mag and still take it that way is impressive.
Yeah, some very good positioning, good timing as well for Weasel, and a solid hold around the armory, and the garage did certainly work quite the right way. And it seemed that, well, for Calypso, they were not prepared at all for that kind of play. So that does leave us on the end of the first half with a 5-1 scoreline, still in heavy favor of Calypso. But it is now time for them to defend. And I'm curious how will actually 71st handle their attack here, seeing as, well, yeah, defense was not particularly going too well, but it could, like you mentioned, it could be partially attributed to maybe players being nervous. Maybe it's just them getting overthinking certain decisions. Maybe it's just them flat out being caught off on bad timing on some of these gunfights. A whole lot of things could be happening here that not fully in their hands. So curious if maybe the attack will be the solution, or maybe if this is going to be kind of the conclusion of their run here this week.
Yeah, I mean, there's such a huge mental aspect to Rainbow Six Siege that a lot of players will never get to experience at a competitive level. You can run and aim and go full Shift W Ash all you want, but to actually have to break down and adapt on the fly and try and preempt your opponent's strategies at a level where there is money on the line, it's just another level of stress, another level of pressure. And well, 71st Recon, they did pull things out in that last round. This is a pretty, avant-garde setup for this bomb site. Kitchen dining, it has been a bit of a hit or miss, and teams sort of figure out eventually that you want to go for that vertical sort of bunker style hold, and it has been very, very effective for a lot of teams. So that's exactly what we're seeing out of Calypso. That shows their understanding with the current play styles for a lot of teams. So the question now becomes, 71st Recon, how do they read into this? Because we didn't see this sort of setup from them, so it may be one that they're not quite as familiar with.
Well, at the very least, they are being fairly diligent with their drone work, so at the very least, the flow of information is quite continuous. But right now, even some of the gunfights that are happening, Fishnoodle nearly connecting on a few of the headshots. I'm actually quite surprised that Mystique didn't go down to a few of those shots, or rather zero prints. But instead, we are actually hearing a breach that has already happened in the, well, watchtower slash small tower rather slash the wall into the dining. So one of the aspects to push into the side is already there, but it's the issue of presence up above. Look at this heavy congestion right around the corner.
Look, anyone would think that this is a Dorm's bomb site hold, but it's not. It's anything from, and there we go, Zero Prince, the first one to go down. The Jackal, unfortunately, found by the 416 carbine of Fishnoodle. Jumping in aggressively, what is going on? Just on the hunt, needs looking for a bit of revenge, spotted, but not taken out, just going to aggressively swing the angle. Finds a double, just this is what we needed on the defense for 71st Recon. Aggression, push the angles, take the gunfights, and make them fight you.
Right now, this is definitely an issue. Well, 71st actually losing once again some of the players, and Time for Pi for a brief moment it was actually looking a little bit cornered there, but was able to handle herself really, really well in that situation. Absolutely cold-blooded killer there. And well, that's all leaves to Meeps, the person who started that kind of push, and it seems like she's going to be the last one to actually finish this push. 20 seconds remaining. The push needs to happen, otherwise not much can be done here, and right now let's just go for some of the exit frags, I suppose.
Chow is always the one, and Repel to go down. Unfortunately, Time for Pi playing on the back shoulder does find a refrag. It is picked up. Calypso will move themselves to match point, but honestly, that was what you were looking for. That's what we wanted to see out of 71st Recon. We wanted to see that level of aggression. We wanted them to see them push the boundaries of what the defense was capable of, and they almost did pull it off. Beeps, phenomenal job getting in there, getting aggressive, but yeah, unfortunately they just weren't able to do it in the end. The overwhelming gunfire and force of the Calypso roster was able to bring it back.
Indeed. Well, quite possibly the final round of this matchup is upon us. Kids Dorms and Main Hall is going to be the site to be held. Not a whole lot of changes to be made within the defense roster of Calypso, but an introduction of Frost, interestingly enough. Similar to how 71st used to bring Frost on their defense, it seems that maybe Diana decided to take a page out of their book to see maybe if there's some sort of hidden potential behind that. And I actually heard quite a fair few players from a variety of scenes as well say that with the introduction of ITA-12S, Frost kind of became a little bit more useful in regard of being able to make some of the rotation holes. Her traps now can be kind of placed in some of those much trickier positions, and overall her loadout is much more viable for competitive play, although utility-wise still a bit lackluster, I would probably say.
No, what are you talking about? You might as well have 4 traps on the board because you can sit under a window with a shotgun and just go for gold. But
5 seconds left.
yeah, look, honestly, just the viability, having the deployable shield as well. It's good to see, those changes being made so that we can see a diverse pool of come on, Diana, you can do it. You're so close. There we go. Double up under the window. It's going to be a very, very straightforward setup with this, but I mean, look, I have to express my disappointment. We have seen Maestro several times, and every single time it's been the older 5.56. You yourself, Cthulhu, know of my passion and love for the ACS-12, and I swear we need to see that before the season's over.
Yeah, maybe a few DMs need to be sent over to a few teams, maybe, and persuade for a couple meme rounds, maybe. We'll have to see, but for now...
What do you mean? Are you saying that the ACS-12 is a meme gun and not deadly serious? It is a fully automatic slug shotgun. You don't want to walk into one of those in a dark alley. You're going to have a bad time. But, I mean, look, let's get back into it. Yeah, like you said, potentially the final round, Calypso. They did one more. Unfortunately, 71st Recon, their attack has had moments of brilliance, but it's not quite flushed out the way they'd hoped. And with the Dorms hold and all the tools set up, and aggressive defensive setup as well, I mean, the tools are there for them. It's just how well they utilize those tools.
Speaking of tool utilization, Ready a Push is actually commencing from 71st into the attic. This time a decision to bring in a Thermite and a Jackal to go for that very push. Not a bad idea given that both operators have the 2x scopes and quite solid guns as well to boot. So definitely quite a decent idea to take on some of that gunfight as well, especially with the fact that Fish Noodle is actually playing a very aggressive play without any ballistic shield in there to play against. So it's more so just to the raw peeking power there of her position. Meanwhile, the rest of the team is still very much kind of running scarce, and Ticktoff needs to actually start applying pressure on maybe some of the armory stairs, maybe from below onto the walk-in closet, and allow the ace to get the breach. Something needs to happen, because right now, if this is going to be the only place for a push, this is going to be a very quick and easy run here. Although, there we go. Time for Pi with a flank already secures the diffuser, and just like that, it is an issue for 71st.
I mean, this is why you ban the Nomad out. Enable your team to be able to pull off the roams like this, and this is exactly why Calypso did it. The Nomad, the air jabs, not just the fact that it's a displacer, it has that audio cue when it does detonate. to deal with it, you have to find a very, very tight angle and shoot it, or just have a direct line of sight and then shoot it, which, again, will give away your position. It's just so effective in the amount that it will deny a flank or a roam like that, I mean, Calypso, they came in with a game plan, and it's worked well for them. Tix trying to contest the doorway, which is where Bosch is waiting on the opposite side of it. Unfortunately, will go down, leaves it in a 2 versus 4. Meeps is well going to be tagged. Will win her gunfight at the very least, but leaves it on a very, very small amount of health. Meeps pushes in, is found. Repel finds one. Bosch, just with the line of sight, will take the map 7-1 in favor of Calypso. Unfortunate result for the 71st Recon Girls, but again, I almost have to put it down, so I think they got into their own heads a little bit.
Yeah, definitely quite an unfortunate result for them, but a very fortunate result for Calypso to get themselves back on board, back into that top 4 positions, and secure yet another win for themselves. A solid performance from Time for Pi yet again. She was just absolutely ripping through the opposition. 13-2. That is a score to really boast about, and well, with the way how she was playing, she was pretty much allowed on some of those pushes, so very well done by her. And yeah, congrats to Calypso for their, I believe that is their 2nd win in the season, which will be pushing them, I believe, on 4th place overall.
Yeah, well, I mean, it also, depending on how the Rens matchup goes, it's going to put them on even kilter with them. So, I mean, look, it does push them at the table. It also depends on how a number of the other results go today as to where we will be sitting. But, I mean, great ups to the Calypso girls. Honestly, great ups to the 71st Recon girls as well, especially Weasel, who had some very, very standout plays throughout that map. And unfortunately, it was overshadowed by the fact that it was a loss. I'm excited to see what they can bring in the coming weeks.
100%, yeah. I still definitely think that they, with a little bit more work and a little bit of a couple more improvements, I definitely think that they might just be able to start contesting against some of the bigger teams as well quite easily. And they have the structure, they have everything. It's just sometimes just small things like the mental game as well could be occasionally getting in the way. But look, for now, this is it for the first matchup. We do have one more coming right up, and that is going to be we shall see the continuation rather after a short break. So stay tuned. Don't go too far away.
Can you feel me? I'm so sad if I touch on my feelings for you. Need to know what you're feeling, know what you're feeling. I'm so scared if I touch on my feelings for you. Can you feel me?
Alrighty, ladies and gentlemen, we are back for matchup number 2 for Women's League. Season 4 is still up here. Blue Panda and Cthulhu are still on the microphones. And Panda, we've witnessed so far a pretty dominant game overall from Calypso's, matching up against 71st Recon. But we have another one that is going to be Nutty Gaming versus the Wrens. First, any first initial thoughts about this?
Look, I feel confident that we're probably going to see a lot less blitz play on the whole. Probably a lot less Finker and Ying play. Potentially some Ying play still, but probably not quite as much as we saw being brought by Calypso. I think of the matches today, this one is probably the one where both teams are going to hard focus in as much as possible. This could be the one that does go to the OT. This is probably going to be the closest one. I think I still have to lean a little bit more to one side, unfortunately, and it is to the Wrens because they have picked up a couple of wins. They almost took it to Calypso. There was a 7-4 loss at the end, unfortunately. They beat 71st Recon. They were able to beat Phoenix. So I think they've had a little bit more success. They can ride that momentum a little bit longer. Nutty, they almost won out against Grumpy Grapes, but unfortunately were denied at the end. So I think the potential is definitely there for this game to go the full distance. But on the whole, there's just a little bit more of me that sides with the Wrens.
All right. Well, let's actually, before we jump into the full deconstruction of the match, let's actually get a quick update as well on the schedule and on the previous scorelines as well. So we've already witnessed the 7-1 between Calypso and 71st Recon, but on the off-stream, Elevate and Nocturnal, respectively, took their very quick dubs, 7-0 fashion. So definitely, well, yet another chance for them, I suppose, to keep themselves up on the top 2 spots on the leaderboard.
Yeah, I mean, at this stage, it very much feels like Nocturnal, they're just doing everything they can to keep on the heels of the Elevate roster. There is, between the two teams, a 7-round differential. Both teams have now picked up 4 wins, but the round differential is just that much more in favor of the Elevate team. So Nocturnal, unfortunately, it looks like it might be a situation where they may never catch up before we hit the end of regulation season. But, I mean, it's still second place at the end of the day if they can keep behind them. But, I mean, yeah, look, the Elevate team, they have just been on fire from start to finish. I mean, we got to cast their opening match against Calypso, and it was just a no-holds-barred slugfest.
No, yeah. Well, let's actually jump into the matchup at hand. It is going to be the Wrens versus Nutty Gaming. The battle for Wrens, this is going to mean a chance to get on the board. But yeah, let's actually quickly have a look at the match breakdown as well before we actually get straight to it. But yeah, look, last matchup, 71st Recon versus Calypso on Oregon, looked quite dominant from them. I mean, Time for Pyre on the double digits. The rest of the team following suit with pretty well-balanced amount of frags, gotta say.
Yeah, on the whole, I mean, both teams have proven themselves pretty capable. Time for Pie, though, unfortunately, I mean, look, that was just a clinic on how to play Zofia, how to just do everything. They're very, very well rounded. It's usually not every day that we see Time for Pie. Yeah, she usually goes off, but not quite to that level. On the other side of the scorecard, Meeps and Weasel did pick themselves up 6 frags apiece, one of those being a phenomenal 4K for Weasel. Unfortunately, Ticked Off is going to bottom out the frags at the moment. 5 assists, so it's not like she wasn't getting involved. She just wasn't able to finalize those. An unfortunate result, but I mean, hey, if nothing else is going to provide motivation for her to get on the scoreboard next week, I think it would be this.
Definitely. Well, It's going to be still quite a few chances for 71st to make the right moves and actually go in for some of the dubs, whereas for Calypso, well, today was just the right chance to get themselves further up on a leaderboard. But the match at hand, the final one for tonight, it is the Rens versus Nutty Gaming. Two teams that have had a bit of a kind of bit of a shaky beginning to the season, but the Rens definitely seen themselves to be skyrocketed up into the top 4. So statistically, they are the ones to kind of be, I suppose, the favorites statistically in this matchup. But Nutty Gaming did made quite a few changes to their approach and definitely have been improving ever since.
Well, I mean, if Nutty Gaming do take this win, they will move into the top 4, knocking Grumpy Grapes out of their position. Obviously, they'd be sitting close, not quite tied, I don't think, with the Rens. There is a bit of a round differential there, but they would move into 4th. If Rens win, well, look, the standings stay the same. There's no real changes. But I mean, look, we are going to be heading into the map very, very soon. I know the players are currently getting to the lobby. We should probably take a look at where we are going to be going. And, well, in all honesty, there's no... Oh, sorry, we'll have a look at the players first before we get into the roster. But, yeah. Up first, Nutty Gaming, Fallen, Defs, Not Ellie, Crystal, Lee, and Mardina. Mardina did have a couple of standout plays last time the Nutty Gaming were featured on the stream. I remember definitely being impressed in the level of play that she was bringing, and definitely had some standout moments. Not to mention, they do have some pretty solid support behind the scenes. I know KJ is a phenomenal brain in terms of the Rainbow Six Siege game itself. He's also currently playing OCL, so he's competing at a very, very high level, so he's just going to be providing... It's basically a trickle-down effect. KJ has got all that knowledge. It's going to go straight down to the players, and they're going to be able to capitalize off that.
Yeah, definitely having some extra good support definitely helps quite a substantial amount. But let's also have a look at the opponents of Nutty Gaming. That is going to be Rens. The lineup of Angry Wolf as Brunex, Sporky, and Burnabear, with Shadow being the coach, definitely has seen quite a few good plays. And actually, I've been informed by one of the players that last week, Az actually got a double ace in the first 2 rounds. And by the end of the round 2, already sitting on 10 kills.
Yeah, it's like the best kind of chicken nugget pack. It's a 10-piece. So, well, I mean, it's exactly what you're looking for frag-wise. Someone who can be that standout player. I mean, you're not expecting, that one player in one position to go and get 2 back-to-back aces every single round or where they can. It's just those standout moments that eases the pressure on the rest of the team so they can step up and fill the gaps if they need to.
100%. Yeah. Oh, let's have a look at the map that is actually going to be played out for this second matchup. And, well, to not much surprise, we do see ourselves back into Oregon yet again. We do see the repetition of kind of a pattern, I suppose, from day 1 where we've seen double clubhouse. Same thing going to be applied here. It is going to be the... in tonight's matchup, pardon me, nearly lost the train of thought there. But yeah, look, we've talked quite a fair bit about Oregon. Between these two teams, I definitely think that the pace may actually differ quite substantially. Yeah,
look, I think we're probably going to see a bit more of a dynamic approach to Oregon from both these teams. We are going to see probably some more creative setups, some more creative plays. I mean, it's not going to be anything wildly out of the norm, considering that Oregon has been in the competitive pool for a while. Teams know how to approach it. The meta is pretty well established for the majority of the bomb sites, so I'm interested to see how they play that roam game. We saw Calypso's approach in the last map. They banned out the Nomad to specifically enable themselves when it came to their defensive half, and they went off on it. We saw that big flank up big tower, caught the diffuser to close things out at the end. So it's going to be interesting to see how they prioritize that roam game here. And we have seen that both teams have capable roamers.
Indeed. Well, let's get straight into the matchup at hand. It is going to be Nutty Gaming versus Rens, with Rens actually starting things off on attack to kick things off for themselves on Oregon here, and honestly quite curious to see what they will be able to pull off, because as of recently there has been quite a, well, somewhat of a trend where quite a few teams are much more well versed on the defense rather than offense, and offense is usually one of those kind of very difficult runs to really begin with. So for Renz, this is definitely going to be quite a bit of a challenge, I would imagine. Whereas for Nutty Gaming, a solid place to kick things off for themselves and get some points on board.
Well, we look. This is the first stage of any map, and there we go. We are going to see a slight deviation. No Nomad this time. It's going to be a Hibana instead. So prioritizing that hard breach. Thatcher and Hibana means Maverick and Ace are left in the pool for these two teams to bring to the table. Valkyrie. So information. The denial coming out from that one. Which, I mean, look, we've got a couple of options here for the final one. Is it going to be a Cade? Is it going to be a Mirror? Is it going to be a Wembley? I'm probably leaning a little bit more towards the Mirror.
Yeah, I'm assuming it will be something like a Mirror, maybe, or a Kayed actually. Yeah, Kayed was banned out last match as well, and in the context of this map, he is quite an impactful operator utility-wise, given the fact that you can just hide at a very sneaky spot his Electroclaw, which would be quite borderline impossible to really get rid of. But he will not be played out in this particular matchup at all. Laundry and Supply Room will be the very first site to be brought on board, and curious to see how will this be played out, because we're already seeing a Goyo pick from Mardina, which does signal us potentially a very aggressive play around the bunker area, possibly.
Yeah, I mean, it's an aggressive setup that teams have been running for the longest time. In Pillar, you set it up with the Vulcan shield, you can play behind it, you just stack up as much utility denial as you can. I would imagine we're probably going to see the regular deployable shield placed in elbow, just because that hold can go catastrophically wrong if you've got a Vulcan just too close and you don't have that room to get out in time. At least that's, yeah, I'm anticipating probably a Pillar, probably a freezer setup for those two Vulcans, and you see probably, well, at least this setup at least indicates more of an anchor-centric hold.
Yeah, an anchor holder could certainly be put in place. So far, yeah, just like you said, a single normal ballistic shield is in play, plus a Melusi device to drain some utility, or rather maybe force some very uncomfortable gunfights in play, whereas a Goyo shield to watch over from the pillars. Like you said, everything is looking pretty solid here. Now the main question is, how will the players themselves behave here, because they could be playing a very passive game and just waiting for essentially for the attackers to walk into their sites, or rather maybe some of the defenders will try to take some of those gunfights themselves. But this is looking a little bit
No, I was a little bit more concerned with Fallen's positioning. So you've got an aggressive Vulcan shield contest from Pillars, and then you've got a Melusi playing punch holes in the bottom of E-Box. That's not something you see every day.
Most certainly, yeah, quite a departure from the usual play. Luckily for Fallen, though, this whole wall is going to be reinforced, so plenty of cover to really play around. But this is interesting. A live drone up ahead with two players actually clearing out the area to make sure that there will be at least a refrag should there be a unconventional positioning for the roamer. And then already quite quickly, majority of the map has been already covered.
Well, no Maverick, which means they're going to have to commit that utility to opening things up with Brunek on the aces. Potentially Sporky as well, bringing that secondary hard breach gadget so they can get two hatches and potentially part of a wall at least. But you see them gearing up. This way they're stacking, it looks like we could see an execute straight down into Laundry, but Crystal waiting. The barricade is there, Nitro Cell in hand, could definitely make this a very, very scary position to be contesting. And there we go, barbed wire and barricade dealt with. They're going to start to stack up and go for that push down the stairs inevitably. But, I mean, you look at the denial, you look at the tools that are available to Nutty Gaming, this could turn into, not necessarily a meat grinding, but more of an explosive decompression.
100%, and with Az already pushing the freezer hallway, this could definitely be deviated into two different positions, which is what Renz will be looking for. Already another crossfire angle set up and a clear sight potential into Crystal, but that is not even going to be required. Ellie actually fires back at the opposition, able to find Angry Wolf, but right now there's some more pushes actually happening through the freezer, and already Az finding yet another frag for herself, about to go swing at Ellie as well, but I don't think she is yet aware of the Jaeger's presence here.
2 versus 4, Brunek on the plant. Ellie stuck in. Supply at the moment has to swing in the smoke there. They can't stop the plant from going down. Goes for the wall bang as well. Burner going to be tagged low. Unfortunately, not enough to find the frag, and 2 quick frags is 1 bleed out, in fact. One for either team. Fallen in a lot of trouble. Sporky going for the contest. Nitro cell toss deep. It is going to be enough to find it, but does she have any information on the remaining defenders? Burner in position will find the kill onto Fallen and Rens. It was a chaotic round. It was a bit messy, but it was successful in the end.
Yeah, definitely a little bit of a odd push. Probably one way to really describe it. Very good performance by Asdo to just go in for a flat-out push, not really care about. Similar to actually what Time for Pi was doing. Just very highly aggressive push. Try to take some of those very influential angles to assist the team, create those crossfire angles, kind of work her way from there on. And worked out pretty well until we've seen Fallen Prestige just going for a flat-out push with a Melusi, but even then it was only kind of delaying the inevitable, I suppose.
Yeah, I mean, look, the reason, and I know people are going to question it, the reason I described that round as messy is they didn't have enough information on the remaining defenders that it could not have come apart. I mean, the frags that Fallen found, there was potential that there could have been an upset, there could have been a defuse that came out off the back of the defensive play. So I think they just need to be a little bit more certain in that position, cover their crossfires, cover their post-plant positions, which, I mean, they ultimately did in the end with that hatch angle and Burner just locking down the site. But the fact that they still lost 2 in that post-plant situation, in a 2v4 situation, is a little bit scary.
Definitely, yeah, that was that looked a little bit dicey to say the very least, close to the end of the round. But look, at the very least, Nutty Gaming were able to provide some very good defense, at least in the early stages, but unfortunately fell through at a later date. But they get to retry this site, which does mean that maybe they will be able to iron out certain things here and there, and it seems like not a whole lot of changes are being made here on their defense setup, so it's more so just how are they planning to deal with the certain utility. Fallen turning back to her bullet hole peak, which just missing out on the position of the Ash, which could be an issue, and the moment the drone does come around, there's the pre-fire as well, but to no avail. Won't be finding anyone just yet. Maybe she will be able, yep, she sees the body, but just misses out, and that Ash charge could also have been very dangerous. Fallen, tanks the breaching charge to the face, just does not care.
I mean, yeah, just burn a bit. You know, that's a great angle. Here, let me open it wider for you, Fallen. And, yeah, just no chance of being able to utilize that anymore. 2 quick frags as well. Fallen found off the back of that opening. Ellie does go down as well. And all of a sudden, again, it's Nutty Gaming playing off the back foot. Rens have that momentum to build on, but they now need to deal with Lee in the back pocket of the elbow here. Toxic canister does go out, but I mean, Burner can push into E-Box and start to clear out that way. They've got control of, Generator and Pillar as well. So now it's a back against the wall situation. Nutty Gaming, it's a triangle. Lee's going to find the opening onto Burner Bear from elbow. SMG-11 is such a great gun in these situations. You look away for a split second, and just the sheer fire rate is insane enough that you can just take someone's head up cleanly. Vulcan shield destroyed, trying to slow things out, stall it. Mardina holding that long angle from Freezer. Needs to keep strong, needs to win that gunfight when it does inevitably come, because you can see them gearing up for that execute onto the side.
100% Sporky trying to maybe juke out some sort of a sound cue, and actually quite successfully able to force Mardina into a gunfight, but Lee is there to keep on pushing and trying to help her team. Crystal's also finding another kill, but unfortunate Shift W right into the sights of a Capital won't really be helping. But a shotgun, oh no, a complete misread by Angry Wolf will be leaving the 2 players in a 1v1 situation. Crystal versus Sporky, and the diffuser has been planted. So right now Sporky has all the utility really needed to even just keep on denying the time. She has both of the fire arrows there as well.
Yeah, Crystal just trying to gauge positioning if she can. I mean, with time ticking away, it has to be a straight-up gunfight. You've got to win it as well. Sporky just holding the angle. Crystal, no idea that just around the corner is the danger. Pulls off, goes for the shot, can't win it anyway, and even if she had, there wasn't going to be enough time left for the girls on Nutty Gaming to pull it out. But a valiant effort, nonetheless, from the dual SAS operators at Nutty Gaming.
100%, yeah. Big props to Lee for even pushing that far, because her her position was actually probably the most dangerous one to really play around, and she was able to actually keep her composure for a really long while. So massive props to her for pulling that kind of play off, nearly pushing her team into a win, but unfortunately couldn't just get there. So we are going to be seeing the defense to shift over to the kids' dorms and main hall, which arguably is a little bit more flexible site, although with the current meta, like I mentioned before, it's grown a little bit stale. And looking at the lineup, the introduction of Castle is probably going to be the main deviation, as I am curious where those castle barricades going to be used for. Usually there's one goes into, say, the entrance into the walk-in closet, one goes on the double window, and say another one goes into the kids' dorms window to just slow things down and force some more utility usage. But really, does that really do the job nowadays, or is it just there to kind of just grab maybe a few seconds before the inevitable comes around?
Yeah, I mean, there's all sorts of theory crafting that goes into a setup involving a castle. Where is the main priority? And at the moment, it seems like it is going to be walk-in, it's going to be double window, and I wouldn't be surprised if it is going to be small dorm as well. I mean, I have seen some teams, this is what I have seen from some teams. What they tend to do is they will lock out trophies. So you do the top armory door, the armory window door, and then the master bedroom trophy door, and then you lock it out that way. And sometimes you'll go for a double window or a games window. It depends on how you're feeling on the day, but you want to stop them from getting in there as long as possible. You want to keep them guessing. You pair it with a mute, and it's just that mental aspect of not having the information, not having the clear lines of sight, can make it very, very hard for a team to go for that execute.
Yeah, well, we'll have to see if that is going to be the case here. Very aggressive position here from Fallen Prestige. Attempting to maybe play a little bit more of an aggressive angle, something that actually 71st were lacking on a few occasions. Maybe this is going to be redeemed here by a completely different team. For Brunek, this means that she won't really have an easy access per se into the side, or nor for the walk-in closet, seeing as that is castled off. So some external help from Bernabe should be there. For Fallen Prestige, it's just easy as just two tapping. There's so much charges, and well, that does indicate that Brunek is going to be stuck on that balcony for a little bit longer until Bernabe or Az really comes around.
Yeah, look, hey, you can tell it's not a casual because, Fallen didn't write "get wrecked" in chat after she shot the Selmas off the castle barricade. It's a different environment. It's a much healthier one, if I'm being perfectly honest. I love the comp scene. Love these girls as well. They just put on an absolute show week in, week out. Rens, they feel stymied, and Az will go down as well. The alley playing around top white, but you can see they've got a game plan. They're just slowly, the gears are grinding. They're ticking away, trying to figure out how they want to do it. They will find the kill on Fallen in trophy as well. So now they have removed some of that pressure. They now need to go below, deal with the mute jammer in position to stop that walk-in closet being opened, and from there they can start to pinch in on and go for the execute.
Finally, the mute jammer does get destroyed, so the breach will go right ahead, and Brunek should be free to use her second Selma charge there, but it seems that it won't be too necessary. A new gunfight might erupt in a couple moments, but right now Crystal will be able to deal with that Selma charge. Well, could have been able to deal with that Selma charge quite quickly, but instead it's Ellie that actually finds the kill for herself onto Brunek. Angry Wolf and Bernabe actually follow suit instead, and well, it does leave all down to Madina and Ellie to try to deny the plant. Angry Wolf is yet to rendezvous really with the team, and it's Bernabe who is actually leading the charge here, finding the kill into Ellie, and all down to Madina. Quick cross needs to happen if they do want to go for a plant, because otherwise they will need to go in for those frags. Madina about to be cornered in a moment, and playing with his suppressed UMP is definitely not the powerhouse of damage, and well, won't even get a chance to get into that gunfight. Bernabe to shut her down.
Yeah, big 3K there for Bernabe on the Ash. Does just connect, finds the angle through the smoke even, but I mean, that's all the information you really needed, was that initial positioning. Definitely a game of Pokemon cards. It's all about the trading. That's exactly what won it out. Rens were just able to come out on top in terms of those trades. They just won, that extra man count, or woman count, overall, and that's what pushed them. They're now 3-0. They've completed an offensive rotation of bomb sites, which is something you rarely see in Rainbow Six Siege. Now, as we head back to dorms, they're going to double down on that once again. So we've seen basement twice, we've seen dorms twice. I would be interested to see if we do end up going to either of the kitchen bomb sites. And Rens, they have the Ying, they were posturing it, but it's going to be a nomad. They're sticking with the game plan. This is a situation where you don't want to get overconfident, because we've seen what happens in previous weeks where, I mean, the loss that Nutty Gaming received at the hands of Grumpy Grapes, it was a situation of, it looked like Nutty Gaming were going to win, they got a little bit overconfident, and Grumpy Grapes were reversed.
Yeah, so for Nutty Gaming here, this is going to be, pretty much just a case of they need to keep up their composure, not get into their heads too much. Because right now, I mean, Ren's already getting themselves, a good solid 3-round streak. They're not out of this yet, but this is definitely a good run for them already. And seeing as that could potentially be yet another very quick sweep. For Nutty Gaming, they need to stop that bleed very soon and make sure that they catch the Rens on their mistakes. Quite a few of them were made, and Form Prestige had a really powerful position, but unfortunately for her, she got fragged out relatively quickly by Brunek. So, few misplays here and there, definitely not been particularly too favorable for players at Nutty Gaming, but still, they got plenty of chances to really go about it. Whereas for now, Rens are actually, not as of a aggressive push, you could say. Still the introduction of Castle, but no aggressive presence in the trophy, which should give some good, false sense of security. Then Fallen Prestige will actually be able to utilize that really well to frag out Burnabear, who was, like you mentioned before, the MVP of the round, getting that 3K.
Yeah, I mean, it's just sort of those, haha moments. Back up the stairs. Let's reset and go again. And I mean, it's a big frag to be finding. It is going to stall out that walk-in closet being open. They will have to find some other way to deal with it. And unfortunately, that means committing some sort of utility. And they are. It feels a little bit. I mean, last round I said they were a little bit stymied. They were a little bit unsure as to how to go for that execute. But when it did come, they pulled it out anyway. This time around, though, losing the Ash, which I mean, it's such a pivotal position in enabling them to open up these walls because of those castle barricades, the hesitation is that much more severe, I think.
Speaking of severe and severe punishment, Az was able to find a pretty easy frag for herself onto Ellie as well without losing any HP, which is the only roamer that is actually out of the equation. And funnily enough, Brunek actually completely abandoned the idea of going for a push through the walk-in closet, but instead we shall be seeing actually an attempt to peek into the windows, and Crystal's actually lined herself up right by that window frame, so even a simple pre-fire would have done the job, but instead, breezing right past her. Crystal is quite, well, I was about to say quite lucky to evade that damage, but straight away gets domed, and, well, another gunfight is about to erupt, and that is going to be Lee now, trying to hold her position.
And it truly is a shame, like, all that effort, Crystal's new haircut has just gone to waste. Brunek just took a bit off the top and then took the whole head as well. At the moment, just this 30-second position. They have the man count advantage, but with the toxic canisters, they can no longer go through attic. Means Brunek is going to have to go, or I don't think that was the intention.
I don't think that was the intention,
No? Okay, so
maybe
still,
it
okay. Look, hey, you just roll with it. You go with it. It's going to be Sporky to push in top white, looking to go for that execute and deal with the player tight in the corner, but Mardina is holding on. S2 setting bolts. Nowhere to go. No chance, no hope. As we'll find it for a double. It's a 4 versus 2. We've seen them here before. And they deny the plant. Brunek is going pretty deep in the site. Sporky finds Lee. Fallen gets one back, but Angry Wolf there pushing up armory stairs to get the refrag. And I mean, Rens, they're just playing off of each other. It's really the long and short of it.
Yeah, very clinical performance from them. A good decision making as well, and just rearranging their push, not really trying to force it in any shape or form. It's just, well, things are not working out. Well, let's reposition ourselves, go for another push, go through the push through the double window, go for a push through the kids' dorms, and it's just that kind of adaptability is what really seems to be winning the rounds here. Whereas for Nutty, they looked a little bit lost there. The fact that it was the push at the final moment was executed with such ferocity from such an unconventional, I suppose, angle, being that the push came from the double window and the white stairs, whereas most of the defense was still kind of scarce all around kind of the attic and the trophy area. there wasn't much to be done really there, and I don't think really Nutty Gaming were even expecting that kind of push to really happen. So quite unfortunate for them, but a good read by Renz, and it's a 4-0 result so far, but curious if this is going to be maybe a game of offense, and maybe once Nutty Gaming will get on the offense, they will be the ones dominating the scoreline.
Yeah, I mean, look, it's one of those things. So you're looking at it, and Nutty Gaming, they're coming out of the gate sprinting, when unfortunately it's not a sprinting race. This is a long distance marathon. You need to either last the distance or find those frags along the way. And the only way that's going to happen as a defender is if the enemy team rushes straight into you and you can just line things up. So I think that's exactly what we're seeing. Nutty Gaming, they're going aggressive off the bat, they're keeping that aggression, and they're not preserving any stamina for that long distance that they need to cover to end the round out in their favor. So I think they have the tools, they are doing things well, but unfortunately, they're just doing that one thing. It's just aggression. They're just going for the gunfights, and then they don't necessarily need to contest everything.
And it seems that just, I suppose, that one-sidedness. Oh, speaking of, that could be a very interesting outcome here. Full 4-player push. It's actually about to commence through the attic. Could be a very interesting outcome here, seeing as, well, Kids Dorms is actually completely barricaded off. Form Prestige actually holding her angle, so curious to see what is going to happen here. For now, I'm not too sure if her position has been actually drawn out here, but right now Bernabe is completely clueless, and there's some presence from below. Fantastic angle from Lee as well to cover her teammates, and this is a solid beginning. That is Bernabe once again out of the equation without any repercussions to the defense.
Yeah, and it then begs the question, where do we go from here? It's a one-player lead at the moment. And I was just saying, you know, Nutty Gaming, they don't make those actions, and this is it. They're not going for the aggressive contest. Unfortunately, Fallen, after finding that frag, will be traded out and goes completely against what I was saying. But at the very least, they are making these minor changes. Anguril does find the kill onto Ellie. Unfortunately, brings it back to a 3 versus 3 in terms of Brands. And again, I think it's just little hints of over-aggression that are very much costing them here.
100%. Now Lee still trying to hold that angle over from the entrance from the attic, or still bleeding out. You know, Ren's are gonna just, yeah, well, keep on bleeding out, lol. And Brunek will just walk past, really, as is the one to actually attempt to start going for some of the gunfights, and rightfully so. Well, finds actually a kill onto Crystal, and goes in for the swing, but unfortunately runs out of ammo on the F2. C4 will be dodged quite successful, and another attempt. Mardina will try to hold her position from a very up long position, but no, unfortunate timing is there once again. Lee is the last player standing and needs to actually defend for 25 more seconds, but maybe she won't be able to because Az just keeps on swinging and finding those frags.
Yeah, no chance, no competition, just on the hunt. Just, I mean, the sheer precision that we are seeing at Az right now is concerning. Very, very concerning. They're just, the gunfights are going her way every single time. And not to mention that, it's the F2 in the hands of a Twitch. It's a gun that can be a little bit tricky to control in terms of the recoil, but look, none of those shots are missing.
Not at all. Well, Laundry is going to be the final site to be played here by the defense, and it is certainly looking a little bit dicey, gotta say, for the Nutty Gaming roster, because so far 5-0 scoreline definitely gotta hurt, and most certainly I would imagine that this is going to be a very rough outcome so far for even the mental game here for the defending team right now. Whereas for Renz, this is going really smooth. This is, apart from a couple rounds where it did get taken to 1v2 and 1v1s, everything else has been actually going pretty well and much on the way for the win. But we've seen, like you mentioned before, we've seen those very kind of confident plays. We've seen some of the very confident scorelines that then got overturned into an overtime comeback. So quite possible that Nutty Gaming maybe could do something similar here, but it is definitely going to be a challenge and a half, I will say that.
Yeah, Well, I mean, we've seen stranger things come in, and well, Nutty Gaming, if they can pick this round up, it's one at the very least on the scoreboard. It's not going to be a complete trouncing in the half, and well, I like the Echo pick. You don't see it nearly as often, given that those changes were made. The Echo drones are now visible, but it just means you have to be a little bit smarter with their positioning. If you can do that, you can still get that great advantage of the Sonic Blast. Ellie in a bit of a pinch right now, does have fallen down below and will pull off the angle. I think that's the smart call. The danger is just so imminent. You know, 2 players stacked out the door downstairs, one on the rappel, as aggressively following them down the stairs. She's just really been this one-woman army.
Yeah, definitely. Like the sheer amount of aggression that she provided to actually pretty much force her team to win at this point has been actually amazing, and I can see where those 2 aces, back-to-back aces from last week came around. She's just absolutely just sending it, like you said, playing the parcel game, or the letter game rather.
Either one works. You got to send both. The question is, you know, have you got the stamps right? Have you got the address right? Because if you send it the wrong direction, it's going to cost you even more. And oh, look at this. I mean, a minute and a half into the round, they've got full vertical control. They've taken top and first floor. They can now start droning into the basement. It is just a full bunker, hunker down hold coming out here for Nutty Gaming. They need to hold on for dear life if they want to get themselves around. And with Burner Bear leading the charge, there's a lot of utility that can be used against the Nutty Gaming roster if they are not careful, if the positions aren't on point. The drones, I mean, they're going deeper, they're clearing them out so they can deal with this utility. They surely would have spotted Mardina, but it's actually as to find Crystal from above. Mardina gets tagged up heavy by Burner Bear as well. This, unfortunately, is looking a bit bleak, as will be stalled out. Oh, big damage there from the Vulcan Shield. Ellie finds Burner Bear, so not a total loss. Mardina potentially could be picked up, but I think that's risky business in all honesty, as there as well. Flash being thrown deep. Look at the angle, goes to the spray, can't find it through the wall. I think this is a situation where Mardina is now bait on the hook, and they're going to use her to try and catch out someone.
It's interesting to me that Fallen Prestige is still waiting for the push to happen, but so far quite a hefty amount of pressure is being already applied from the front door, so maybe some sort of a rendezvous, or rather move around should happen, really. Lee already finding a kill. Right now in a 3v3, this could actually be overturned pretty quickly, but the plant will be stuck, and Brunek was quite successful in that regard. So with now timer now taken against the defense, this is going to be quite a difficult challenge because Lee has already been down. Ellie is about to potentially get swung upon, and Sporky is completely clueless, same as before in Prestige, and well, just like that, complete collapse, and Rens find themselves the 6th round in a row.
Yeah, I mean, it comes down to the moment. As soon as you get the notification the diffuser has gone down, the time stops being a tool that you can utilize as a defender. The panic starts to set in. It becomes that much harder to keep yourself cool, calm, and collected when you need to go for that retake of the site, retake of the diffuser. And I think that's what we saw in that last round. They just were so determined to try and get the defuse on their own terms, try and get the win that way, that they weren't watching their crossfires, they weren't watching for the player in freezer, and they just started beelining for the bomb site and got mowed down on the way. And as a result, it is going to be a 6-0 half in favor of the Wrens. So one more round, their first round on the defense, could be the one that they need to seal the deal here and get themselves their 3rd win of the season. I mean, look, everything is on the shoulders here for Nutty Gaming. If they could win this, they keep themselves in a bit longer, they avoid the full 7-0, but realistically, that's still 6 rounds that they now need to win on the attack just to get back to OT.
And that is quite a tall order for quite a fair few teams, really. No matter how good you can be, it does put quite a strain on the mental game to keep on pushing for 6 rounds in a row without making any kind of mistakes or minimal amount of mistakes, for which the opponent team won't be able to really punish you severely. Interestingly enough, though, to take a slight switch over, slight change in the reinforcement setup from the Wrens, plus the introduction of Mozzie into the roster. So looking at denying some information and maybe gathering themselves some is not a bad idea at all. Plus a change in the reinforcement doesn't mean a whole lot of things, but certainly does cut off a certain sideline, which should allow the defense to still retain some ground, even if they will lose the shoulder. So, quite a few interesting, cool, small adaptations being made on the go. But first up is going to be Ellie to actually try to lead the charge here with the 2 drones that should already call out the position of Angry Wolf, as she is unable to actually get rid of them. So, free info gathering straight off the bat.
I mean, the unfortunate nature of this setup for the Wrens is they are putting all their eggs in the one basket. So they are so heavily committed to this construction push. If the call was made and we see them go for a freezer and laundry take for the side of Nutty Gaming, this would be far more effective. There's so much they have to now deal with. The plus side is obviously these toxic canisters being used early means that it's something they don't have to worry about as the round starts to go on. The drone work as well has been very, very clean. They've got a lot more information than they probably should have with this setup, and they are able to start to clear out the utility. But Crystal either needs to win this gunfight or needs to deal with the player behind the shield with a frag grenade or something, but the frag grenades are gone. It's going to have to be a gunfight. Toxic canister was thrown. Will it be blown? The shield should be giving it away, and there we go. Angry Wolf wins hers, but unfortunately Brunek loses on the other side of it. So it's a 1-for-1 trade. A Sledge for a Frost. As well going to be tagged up heavy, playing around the kitchen corridor, playing around the stage door. Has support. Burner Bear will just swing out and win that one against Lee. This is, again, it's a situation that's looking less than desirable.
Exactly. Well, another gunfight does erupt. Fallen Prestige to get a triple actually for herself to push this even further into her team's favor. 1v2 quad kill, potentially looking to contest for an ace. Angry Wolf is the last player standing against Mardina and Fallen Prestige. Both those players have now stacked up and ready to go for the entry, but with 50 seconds remaining, they need to either find the frag or get the diffuser going, because right now Angry Wolf is playing a very passive angle, although oddly enough expecting the swing to come from this very position.
I mean, if she could find the first, she can definitely find the second there, as Mardina is preoccupied. Can't get in there, so there is a level of security. We'll be rotating back into the doorway, back into the hole in the wall that was shot out, but surely they should have some idea. The audio cues must have been given away that position. Toxic canister does go out. Mardina will tank a little bit of it, but I mean, this could be Nutty Gaming's first round on the board. It's all on the shoulders of whether or not Angry Wolf can find these 2 frags and go for the defuse. There is a split between the attackers, so this is the opening that she could need. Someone will open up that wall. Mardina caught looking the wrong way. Could be found. The SMG-11 not quite landing the shots, and Fallen now having that information will rotate back in. They can go for the pinch onto the player, and all of a sudden Angry Wolf is no longer the player with the element of surprise, and Fallen takes it. Nutty Gaming. Fallen gets an ace, in fact. I didn't even keep track of that. But a big ace, a big round. Nutty Gaming will not go silently into the night.
Indeed, and that was a really good turnout. Fallen Prestige pushing her team to go even further to try to keep in this competition for as long as it possibly can be. It is most certainly one way to do it. An ace to boot is definitely a great achievement, but that's only one single round, unfortunately, for Nutty Gaming. They need 5 more if they do want to equalize it up to the overtime, and only then still have just the chance to really contest for the win tonight. But for Wrens, this round just means, well, just yet another attempt. They still have plenty of those, and it's going to be Kids Dorms and Main Hall to be defended.
The Warden again coming out here. It's going to be brought by the Wrens now on the defense. Well, that's 2 maps in a row. 2 maps of Oregon in a row that we've seen it played. Brunek going to be wielding the mustachioed man himself. MPX in hand, so nothing crazy, nothing out of the ordinary. This is largely the exact setup you would imagine with the defenders that are online. Castle again, though, is the interesting one place to be. Where Mai's on the board, this utility has proven to be quite detrimental to both teams on the defense, and I would have been, again, I did talk about it earlier on, but this Castle, I have to admit, it has been a real nuisance. That losing out, you know, on Burner Bear on the Ash last time we saw this setup was crippling, to say the very, very least, for the Wrens. And, well, I mean, they were able to come back in the end, but the question is, can Nutty still manage to pull off the same thing?
Yeah, this is going to be the big question, and looking at the lineup and the positioning, very heavy presence around the trophy and the armory area, with Wrens expecting the push to happen through the walk-in closet, as that is one of the big contention points, I suppose, borderline them counter-strating themselves here, whereas for Night Gaming, this is looking like this might actually be the play. Maybe if Ellie decides to apply some pressure from the double window, that could be the play. But apart from that, right now, not much is yet being done. Plenty of droning is being done here, and Ellie actually pulls away from that position in favor of maybe peeking the gaming window.
Hey, look, if it's an angle that works, might as well use it. And that window can be brutal. You cut the bomb site in half, you catch anyone back on the rotate. It's an easy window to forget about for a number of players, unless your head's on a swivel, you're actively paying attention to what's going on, or cheating. One of those. But I mean, I have seen a number of players, both casting and playing myself, who have gone from either trophy or attic and just swung a little bit too wide into the line of sight of that window and been cut down for their mistake.
100%. As doing a little bit of a late bandit trick, at the very least, is able to deny the second explosion of the Selma charge, which will be forcing Mardina to request Ellie to use another breaching charge, or maybe just shoot it out. But here comes the next issue. For Ellie to successfully push those armory stairs, she needs to get rid of Burner and Angry Wolf before any kind of push happens. And Burner actually does manage to find the shot onto Mardina. Meanwhile, Brunek about to be pressured here, but main point of contention is just actually, as a matter of fact, everywhere, because Az also finds going to Ellie, and this does leave all down to Crystal and Lee to try to find some sort of a miracle here.
In the repel on the game's window, the rope will 100% give away the positioning there, so they know that there is someone outside. Nitro Cell as well just eats it. Unfortunately, Crystal is going to go down, leaving it in the hands of Lee. And there we go, Brunek finds the final one. Flawless round for the Wrens. It's a 7-1 win picked up here on Oregon. And unfortunately, Night Gaming, they won't be able to push themselves in the top four. They're going to have to stay where they are for the moment. And, well, Wrens, they keep themselves secure in the top three for at least the next week.
Exactly. A very solid performance by Wrens. Absolutely sensational performance by Az as well. I mean, look at this yet again, 13-6. A slightly less flasher as Time for Pi, but nonetheless, still a solid performance. Same goes to Fallen Prestige, 10-7. Pulling out as well an ace during all of that. Definitely an absolutely sensational performance. Not to discredit either of the teams. Absolutely fantastic plays from both of them. And, well, quite an unlucky loss there for Nutty Gaming.
Yeah, I mean, just week in, week out, there has never been a moment where I have been disappointed in the play that is being brought. I'm always impressed. These girls are just consistently pushing themselves further and further, trying to go above and beyond their previous performances. And it doesn't always work. That is just the nature of a game like Rainbow Six Siege. You cannot always win. You cannot always improve enough to defeat your opponents. But the improvements that are being made are impressive. I'm happy with what I'm seeing. And honestly, if these progressions are carried on for the next wee while, I wouldn't be surprised at all if these teams. I mean, look, the longer this goes on, the further we get, the more seasons of Women's League we have, the more highly competitive it's going to get.
Oh yeah, 100%. I can see quite a fair few teams evolving from week to week basis as well, from season to season. So it's always a good thing to witness when you see those teams evolving, progressing further, and that progress also mirrors onto their standings as well. So it's definitely a huge thing to witness. And well, for Wrens, this is a really solid performance so far. Potentially a chance for that top 4 position to start contesting with some of the bigger leagues, with some of the bigger teams. And from there on, it's just, well, it's still quite a fair bit of things to really do. So curious to see how the rest of the season will really evolve, because it's definitely far from being over. I can say that for a fact.
Well, I mean, that is that we have just with that game past the halfway mark. There are 3 more play days left in the regular season before we do head into the playoffs. So, I mean, at this stage, I think if Elevate, realistically, I would be very surprised if we saw them drop another map before the end of the season. I think their biggest challenge is going to come in week number 6, where they do finally face up against Nocturnal. They are going to be versing Wrens in week number 5, which, I mean, if that performance is anything to go by, could give them a run for their money. I don't think they would be, favorites to take a map away, but they would push it further than I think a number of the other teams in the competition have so far. So yeah, I think I don't see Elevate being knocked out of that top place position. I don't see Nocturnal being knocked out of second place, but there is still plenty of room for those final 2 top 4 spots.
100%. Well, talking about the top 4 spots, let's have a look at the standings as well and get our minds refreshed and kind of get a good perspective. The end of week 4 does see us with Elevate, Nocturnal, Renz, and Calypso to sit in the top 4 positions. Now for Renz with 3 wins, Calypso with 2, finally getting themselves out of that Britstick, whereas the rest of the leaderboard will be seeing Natty Gaming, Grumpy Grapes, 71st Recon, and Beanix with either 1 or no wins yet. So overall, definitely, I'm liking the competition that is forming around that top 4 bracket, and definitely looking like we may be seeing a slight departure and a slight skill gap maybe to be formed between the 4th and 5th place, but that only spices up the storylines because 4th place is still a very volatile position and it can still be very much dethroned at any point in time.
Yeah, I mean, look, the linchpin for me, it's going to be week number 6. Elevate will be versing Nocturnal. Both teams are neck and neck in first position. Whoever wins that matchup will secure themselves first place, barring any potential upsets which could happen along the way. But if the season carries on the way it has been, that match is going to decide who goes into playoffs in first position and who, unfortunately, will, have a lesser setting. But I mean, the track record at the moment is favouring Elevate, but for sure, and I know myself because I've talked to the players, Nocturnal are working so hard to try and, step out of the shadow of their former organisation.
100%. Well, we'll get to find that out relatively soon as well, Panda. But yeah, for now, that is pretty much the conclusion of tonight's broadcast. And honestly, I've expected some very close matchups, but honestly, I've been, I'll say, pleasantly surprised by Calypso and Renz. Finally, for Calypso, they were able to find themselves the dub that they were trying so hard for and just were inches away from gaining. And similar goes for Renz. They started things off relatively well, although copped a few hiccups here and there, but finally got themselves up into the 3rd place. So solid performance nonetheless. So that does leave us with this kind of with these kinds of standing final results just to get everyone back on track. 71st did unfortunately lose to Calypso. For Calypso's though, that's a fortunate dub, 7-1. 2 games off stream, Elevate and Nocturnal scored 7-0 wins for themselves, and well, in the Nutty Gaming versus Renz that just concluded, Renz won 7-1 with a very solid performance and a flawless first half.
Yeah, look, I mean, it's exactly as it says on the screen. Unfortunately, it might not be the most accurate representation, but that is the ultimate score at the end of the day. A couple of rounds that probably could have gone, either way, depending on the final result. But I mean, look, it is what it is. We got next week coming up soon, and I mean, it's week number 5. I was excited for week number 4. I'm just as excited for week number 5. The further we get there, and I mean, Cthulhu, I know you're just as excited.
Oh yeah, 100%. I'm definitely keen for more and more of Women's League action. Is just ramping up in heat, and honestly, it's just an absolute pleasure to watch these teams play. No matter who's versing who, it's always promising to be an absolute banger. So look, I'm keen for yet another week next week, and some more action to come our way.
Yeah, definitely keen. But look, yeah. I mean, hey. It's week on week, hotter and hotter. The match is getting better and better. Look, I'm just so excited for playoffs.
Exactly. Well, for the time being, though, this is it from us. Thank you to all our wonderful viewers for tuning in tonight. Thank you to our wonderful sponsors as well. That is Ubisoft ANZ, ZQ Racing, Computer Alliance, Intel, Cooler Master, and Asus ROG. As well, thank you very much on behalf of XP Esports production team and the casters. Have a lovely evening, and we'll catch you next week.
Enter into a new dimension of gaming and push your PC to the extreme with uncompromised graphics performance. So compact you have to see it to believe it. The way you play will never be the same.
I have to stop going back to you. Back to you. Back to you. Back to you.
I have to start going back to you. Back to you. Back to you. Back to you.
To you, to you, to you, back to you, back. I have to stop going back to you, to you, to you, back to you, back. I have to stop going back to you, to you, to you, back to you, back. I have to stop going back to you, to you, to you, back to you, back. I have to stop going back to you. 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 Back to you.
I have to start going back.
To you, to you, to you, back to you, back. I have to stop going back to you, to you, to you, back to you, back. I have to stop going back to you, to you, to you, back to you, back. I have to stop going back to you, to you, to you, back to you, back. I have to stop going
Back to you. Back to you. Back to you. to you.